"We didn't order for your son," my sister shrugged, handing him bread. Her sons ate $180. Staken laughed. My dad added, "You always expect too much." I took a breath. You know that feeling when a piece of your heart just shatters? Not in a dramatic, cinematic way, but with the quiet, devastating finality of ice cracking on a frozen lake. That was the exact moment I realized my own family was deliberately, coldly, humiliating my child right in front of my eyes, at a dinner I was paying for. It all started innocently enough, or so I thought. I gripped Eli's small hand a little tighter as we pushed through the heavy glass doors of the Copper House grill. The rich scent of aged steaks and buttery sauces wrapped around us like an expensive embrace. We were here for my parents' 45th anniversary, and I'd meticulously planned everything. $600, pulled from my marketing job salary that already stretched thinner than tissue paper between mortgage payments and Eli's school needs. But tonight, it had to be perfect. My 8-year-old son, Eli, was so excited, his little clip-on tie perfectly straight, just like I taught him. The restaurant was all amber lighting and polished wood, a quiet hum of intimate conversations punctuated by a piano player coaxing something classical from a grand piano. We were led to the corner table where my family waited. I saw them immediately. My younger sister, Brianna, her perfectly highlighted hair cascading over a designer dress that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage. Her husband, Derek, nodding absently, glued to his phone. Their 2 boys, 7 and 5, squirming in their chairs, a tablet propped between them. And there were my parents, Frank and Elaine, beaming at Brianna's sons. 2 wrapped gifts, bright blue ribbons, sat right there on the table between my parents, one for each of their boys. Nothing else. "We're here," I announced, trying to sound cheerful, hoping for a warm reception. My mother glanced up. "Oh, Alexis, there you are." Not a single pair of eyes shifted toward Eli. Not one. I leaned down to kiss my mom's cheek. "Happy anniversary. 45 years is incredible." Dad gave a stiff nod. Brianna barely looked up from her phone. "Hey, sis." I helped Eli into the empty chair beside me, watching him carefully smooth his napkin over his lap. His dark eyes darted around, taking it all in. I could tell he noticed the gifts. The glaring absence of acknowledgement. "Eli picked out cards for both of you," I said, nudging him gently. He pulled 2 handmade cards with careful crayon drawings from his pocket. "Happy anniversary, Grandma and Grandpa." My mom took them with a distracted smile. "That's nice, dear." The cards disappeared into her purse unopened. The memory of my mother's voice, sharp and familiar, sliced through me. "Alexis, be reasonable. Your sister needs this more." How many times had I heard that growing up? Brianna needed the new coat more than I needed winter boots. Brianna deserved the last piece of cake. Brianna required my college fund because her wedding venue had to be perfect. It was a pattern I'd never broken. Even now, raising Eli alone after his father walked out, I still sent Brianna money when she called with her latest crisis. Still showed up to every family function, hoping that this time would be different. Still wanting, for Eli's sake, just one perfect family dinner. A waiter appeared, leather-bound menus in hand. Eli's eyes widened at the fancy script, his finger tracing descriptions. He paused at the shrimp pasta, his favorite for special occasions. "Would anyone care for appetizers?" the waiter asked. Brianna's boys shouted their demands. When the waiter turned to Eli, my son looked up at my father first, A child's instinctive deference, then back to the menu. "Could I have the shrimp pasta, please?" he asked, his voice barely audible. The waiter looked to my father, who continued studying his menu as if Eli hadn't spoken. The silence stretched, excruciating. Then Brianna smirked, still not looking up. "We didn't order for him." My breath hitched. Before I could respond, my father added coldly, "You should have packed him something." The table went deadly silent. Even Brianna's boys stopped squirming. Eli shrank in his chair, his eyes dropping to his empty plate. His small shoulders curved inward like he was trying to disappear. That's when it happened. That quiet, devastating crack inside me. 5 years of raising this gentle, kind boy alone. 5 years of bringing him to family gatherings where he was treated as an afterthought. 5 years of telling myself it would get better if I just tried harder. My face remained perfectly still as I processed what had just happened. My family had deliberately excluded my child from dinner. At an event I paid for. At a table I reserved. The waiter shifted uncomfortably. "Perhaps I should come back." "No," I said, my voice unnervingly calm. "That won't be necessary." I stood slowly, straightening to my full height. "Please cancel any pending orders for this table." "Alexis," my mother began, alarm creeping into her voice. "Bill it all to my father," I continued, meeting the waiter's eyes. "It's his celebration, after all." I reached for Eli's hand. He looked up at me, surprise replacing the hurt in his eyes. It was the first time he'd seen me stand up to my family. The first time I'd truly chosen him over their approval. "Now wait just a minute," Frank's face reddened. "No," I said again, "I don't think I will." Brianna's mouth hung open in shock as I guided Eli from his chair. We walked away from that table, past the curious glances of nearby diners, out of that elegant restaurant where I'd hoped my son might finally feel included. He squeezed my hand as we reached the doors. "Are you mad, Mom?" he whispered. "Not at you," I told him. "Never at you. Only at myself, for how long it's taken me to see what was right in front of me all along." Later that night, my phone buzzed for the 13th time. I didn't need to check it to know who it was from. The screen lit up the darkened kitchen where I sat alone, bank statements spread across the table like fallen leaves. Each notification brought another accusation. "Frank, you humiliated us in front of everyone. After everything we've done. Elaine, how could you embarrass your father on his special night? After everything we've done for you. Brianna, so dramatic. It was just dinner. You're overreacting as usual." I sipped cold coffee and pulled another statement from the stack. The truth hid in plain sight. My fingertip traced each transaction as if touching a bruise. There it was, $900 transferred to Brianna's account on the 1st of every month for the past 8 months. Half her rent, though she'd claimed it was for emergency car repairs the first time. Then medical bills. Then school supplies. The money never came back. Another statement revealed $3,000 in emergency loans that vanished without repayment. For years of my life cataloged in financial support that no one remembered giving. I closed my eyes, the numbers burning behind my lids. When I opened them, I noticed Eli's school photo on the refrigerator. His cautious smile. Those serious eyes. Just like at the restaurant. My phone buzzed again. I silenced it. 3 days later, the quiet was broken by insistent knocking. Through the peephole, I saw them, Frank, Elaine, and Brianna. I couldn't pretend I wasn't home. "Coming," I called, wiping my hands on a dish towel. The moment I opened the door, Frank pushed past me. "We need to talk," he snapped. Eli, thankfully, was at school. This wasn't something an 8-year-old should witness. "About what?" I asked, closing the door behind them. "About that dinner fiasco. You embarrassed this entire family." Brianna's eyes welled with practice tears. "People are still talking about it. Our reputation." Frank slapped a folded paper onto my coffee table, an invoice for $1,200, double my original deposit. "You owe us." Elaine stepped forward, voice honey-wheat but eyes cold. "Be reasonable, Alexis. Pay up, or we'll tell everyone what an ungrateful daughter you really are." That familiar urge to cave, to write a check, to buy peace, washed over me. But this time, something held. "Excuse me for a moment," I said. "I need to make a call." I stepped into the kitchen, my hands steadier than I expected as I dialed. "Aunt Carla? It's Alexis. Could you and Uncle Ray come over? Right now? It's important." 20 minutes of frosty silence later, the doorbell rang. Ray and Carla entered like reinforcements in a battle I'd fought alone for too long. Ray's quiet dignity made Frank straighten. Carla, my mother's older sister, surveyed the scene with eyes that missed nothing. "What's this about?" Ray asked. "Brianna started her performance. Alexis abandoned us at Dad's anniversary dinner and now won't take responsibility." "That's not what happened," I interrupted, surprising myself with my steady voice. "They refused to feed Eli at a dinner I paid for." "You listen here." Frank stepped towards me. "Back off, Frank," Ray said quietly, not moving but somehow placing himself between us. Carla perched on the arm of my sofa. "I've watched this pattern for decades. You've always favored Brianna, always expected Alexis to sacrifice without complaint." "That's ridiculous." Elaine sputtered. "Is it?" I walked to the dining table and returned with my stack of statements. "I've been paying half of Brianna's rent for 8 months. $1,800 a month. That's $7,200. Brianna's face paled. Emergency loans that were never repaid. I flipped through more pages. Free babysitting while she and Derek took weekend trips. Emotional support that's never reciprocated. My voice gained strength with each word. "This ends today." And then, Carla nodded. "When's the last time anyone helped Alexis?" "When she was divorcing Jason. When Eli had pneumonia. When her car broke down." Silence settled. Frank stared at the floor. Elaine examined her manicure. Brianna swallowed hard. "That's what I thought," Carla said. I walked to my purse and removed 6 crisp $100 bills, money I couldn't really spare but needed for my sanity. I slid them across the coffee table toward their invoice. "Half the deposit." "That's fair." "Now about the rest." Frank reached for the cash. "The rent payments to Brianna stopped today," I said, voice level despite my pounding heart. "And I've documented everything. Every transfer, every text begging for money, every promise to pay me back. If anyone wants to talk about who's ungrateful, I have receipts." Brianna's false tears dried instantly. "You can't do that." "I have bills." "So do I." I gathered my statements. "We're finished here." Frank sputtered objections. Brianna looked panicked. "I believe my niece asked you to leave," Carla said, standing. Ray moved toward the door, opening it wide. They filed out, Frank first, then Elaine, then Brianna, who paused to hiss, "You'll regret this," before Ray's presence urged her forward. I closed the door behind them. The house felt suddenly larger, the air easier to breathe. Ray squeezed my shoulder once before he and Carla slipped away. Alone, I slid down against the door until I sat on the floor. My hands trembled violently now, tears I wouldn't let them see built behind my eyes. But I held them back. Eli would be home soon. He didn't need to see me cry. Not today. Today, for the first time in my adult life, I had chosen myself. The backlash was immediate. Brianna's Facebook status. Some people forget where they came from when they think money makes them better than family. My mom's comment, dripping with passive aggression, followed. I started screening calls. But in this quiet storm, a fortress began to form. My notepad, open on the kitchen counter, meticulously documented every interaction. It felt oddly comforting. At Sunridge Market, Brianna ambushed us in the baking aisle. "Well, if it isn't the family destroyer," she shrieked, drawing attention. Eli edged closer to me. "Mom's heartbroken. Dad barely speaks. All because you couldn't handle one dinner." "This isn't about dinner, Brianna," I kept my voice low. "It's about respect. For me and for Eli." "Respect?" She laughed, brittle and hollow. "What about respecting the people who've always been there for you?" The lie was so blatant, I almost laughed too. Memories flashed. Rent payments, emergency cash, childcare I'd provided. "You'll regret choosing your pride over family," she hissed. "Family is everything, Alexis. Everything." The old me would have apologized. Would have taken her for coffee, somehow ending up apologizing for my hurt. Instead, I simply said, "Excuse us," and guided my cart around her. "You're walking away," she called. I kept moving. "You did good, Mom," Eli whispered, his approval filling me with unexpected strength. Then came the Child Protective Services report. Anonymous, of course. Claims of inadequate food, unsupervised after school, possible emotional neglect. My stomach dropped. Fear flooded me, then transformed into something cold, hard. I calmly presented my meticulous records, school attendance, doctor's visits, a well-stocked fridge. The CPS worker closed the case immediately. "This appears retaliatory," she said, looking straight at me. "Someone likely filed this report to punish you, not out of genuine concern for your son." That's when I called an attorney. This wasn't just a family disagreement anymore. This was a war. But the real turning point, the one that shattered everything I thought I knew, came when I was cleaning out the garage. I unearthed a shoebox, forgotten since my divorce. Inside were old report cards, a 5th grade science fair ribbon, photos of a solemn-faced girl, me, standing apart from her beaming younger sister. And at the bottom, a yellowed envelope. My mother's precise handwriting addressed it to my father. The date, August 1st, 1988, 1 week after my birth. My heart stuttered. I slid my finger under the sealed flap. The letter was on my mother's personal stationery, creased and fragile. Frank. I wasn't ready for another baby. Not so soon after Brianna. I try, but I can't seem to bond with this one like I did with our first. When I look at Alexis, I don't feel that same rush of love. Sometimes I wonder if there's something wrong with me or with her. She's so quiet, so watchful. Nothing like our Brianna. What if this never changes? What if I never love her the same way? Elaine. At the bottom, in my father's blockier handwriting, a response. She'll grow out of it. Just favor Brianna until then. Less pressure on you that way. The paper slipped from my fingers, landing silently on the kitchen counter. 35 years of feeling like an outsider in my own family suddenly crystallized into perfect clarity. It wasn't my imagination. It wasn't my fault. My exclusion wasn't something I could fix with more effort or understanding. It was by design. From the very beginning, the familiar ache in my chest transformed. Not hurt, not even anger. Just a profound, overwhelming certainty. I reached for my phone and photographed the letter. Without allowing myself to hesitate, I sent the image to my parents and Brianna. No subject line. No message. Just the evidence. Then I blocked all 3 numbers. Aunt Carla called the next day, a strange mix of shock and vindication in her voice. I ran into your mother at Safeway. Elaine looked like she'd seen a ghost. White as a sheet. She kept muttering that you'd destroyed the family. I watched Eli through the kitchen window, building an elaborate fort from fallen branches. I didn't destroy anything, Carla. I just exposed the truth. Then, 2 weeks later, the certified letter arrived. Notice of petition for grandparent visitation rights. My stomach plummeted. Frank and Elaine, no longer mom and dad in my mind, were demanding court-ordered access to Eli. They painted me as an emotionally unstable mother, vindicatively withholding their grandson. The lawyer's name at the bottom was from one of Scottsdale's most expensive firms. For a terrible moment, fear gripped me. What if a judge sided with them? What if Eli was forced into supervised visits with people who had deliberately excluded him, who had filed false reports against me? But then, anger replaced fear. This wasn't just another manipulation. It was a declaration of war against my son's well-being. I spent the weekend building my fortress. Every slight against Eli, every missed birthday, every dismissive comment, all documented in a massive folder. Bank statements showing thousands funneled to Brianna while Eli wore hand-me-downs. Texts where I'd begged them to attend Eli's school performances met with excuses or silence. And at the center of it all, that damning letter from 1988, the smoking gun that explained a lifetime of rejection. Monday morning, I filed a restricted access order at Eli's school. Only approved individuals could pick him up or visit. Frank and Elaine's names were conspicuously absent. I updated my will, making Carla and Ray Eli's legal guardians. Not Frank and Elaine. Not Brianna. This document felt like armor, protection extending beyond my lifetime. When my attorney delivered our formal response, she called afterward, barely containing her satisfaction. Their lawyer just called me. He's advising them to drop the case. What changed his mind? I asked. Your documentation, she said. Particularly that letter from 1988. He said he can't in good conscience pursue a case that would be this damaging to his clients if it went public. I had won. Not just this battle, but the war. Years of allowing myself to be the family doormat had cultivated in me the perfect weapon, meticulous record-keeping, born from desperate attempts to understand what I'd done wrong. The following morning, I mailed identical letters to Frank, Elaine, and Brianna. 1 page, 5 sentences. I have documented every instance of neglect, manipulation, and cruelty toward Eli and myself. I have shared this documentation with my attorneys and trusted friends with instructions to make it public if necessary. If you contact me or Eli again in any way, I will involve law enforcement and release everything. This is not a negotiation or a temporary boundary. It is permanent. That evening, I gathered every family photo containing Frank, Elaine, and Brianna. The frames emptied one by one as I fed each picture into the shredder, watching smiling faces disappear into confetti. In their place, I created a new photo wall. Eli and me at the Grand Canyon. Carla and Ray teaching him to fish. Jennifer's family joining us for Thanksgiving. Our chosen family, the people who actually showed up. The following weekend, I booked a camping trip to Sedona. Just Eli and me under the stars, our first true just us adventure. As we packed the car, my phone pinged. One final message from Elaine. My finger hovered over the delete button. The old Alexis would have read it. But I took a deep breath and pressed delete without reading. Some messages don't deserve to be read. Some chapters need to stay firmly closed. Ready for an adventure, buddy? I called to Eli. His smile, relaxed and genuine in a way I hadn't seen in months, was all the confirmation I needed. 3 months later, the tent stakes sank into the rusty earth with satisfying thuds as I secured our temporary home. Sedona's magnificent red rock formations towered around us, catching the late afternoon sun like ancient sentinels on fire. Eli darted between the juniper trees, his laughter bouncing off canyon walls as he collected pine cones for our evening campfire. Mom, look at this one. He held up a perfectly formed specimen, eyes bright with discovery. It's bigger than my hand. No phones chirping with accusatory texts, no family drama suffocating us like too tight clothing. Just open skies, fresh air, and my son's voice, stronger and more confident than I'd ever heard it. Eli chattered about rock formations and desert wildlife, his knowledge surprising me. The quiet, hesitant boy from the Copper House Grill had transformed into this curious explorer who now spoke without first checking if anyone wanted to hear his thoughts. Our laughter echoed against the canyon walls as we raced to fill the water jugs, playfully splashing each other at the campground spigot. His giggles, uninhibited and free, filled spaces in my heart I hadn't realized were empty. Later, our simple camp dinner felt luxurious compared to that sterile restaurant meal months ago. Flames danced in the fire pit while we roasted hot dogs and marshmallows. Eli sat cross-legged on a flat rock, completely absorbed in the careful rotation of his marshmallow, determined to achieve the perfect golden brown. When he looked up, chocolate smeared across his chin, graham cracker crumbs dusting his shirt. His expression turned suddenly serious. You seem happier, Mom. The words hit me with unexpected force. This observant child saw everything, always had. I exhaled slowly, watching the flames. I said, realizing as I spoke that it was the simple truth. The tightness that had lived between my shoulder blades for as long as I could remember had finally released its grip. While Eli hunted for the perfect stick for another marshmallow, I found myself reflecting. For years, I'd worn my peacekeeper role like a second skin, sacrificing my own well-being to maintain a toxic family harmony that never really existed. The guilt that once shadowed my every boundary-setting attempt had been replaced by something stronger, confident, self-advocacy. I no longer believed I was selfish for refusing to be mistreated. The mantra that carried me through those final confrontations replayed in my mind. We deserve respect, not just inclusion. My therapy sessions helped me process the trauma without drowning in it. I'd found friendship with other parents who understood that healthy boundaries aren't walls, but necessary protection. At work, the promotion I received last month reflected energy finally redirected toward my career rather than managing family crises. Eli's teacher reported his grades improving alongside his confidence. And my relationship with Aunt Carla and Uncle Ray had deepened into something genuine, the family we'd chosen rather than inherited. Morning arrived with pink gold lights spilling over distant mesas. Eli and I hiked toward a viewpoint, our breathing synchronized in comfortable silence. Standing there, I realized my body felt different. Shoulders relaxed, spine straight, breath coming easily. Eli reached for my hand naturally as we paused at the overlook, trust fully restored between us. "Mom," he asked, squinting into the brightening sky. "Yes, buddy. I like our family better now." I squeezed his small hand in mine. "Me too." The simple truth settled between us. Family is what we build, not what we're born into. As the sun crested the horizon, mother and son stood silhouetted against the dawn sky, walking together toward a new horizon neither of us could have imagined 6 months ago.